Good morning, students. In the previous video sessions, we have completed circular motion concepts, and in this video session, we will be learning about collision theory and how does collisions takes place, what is the definition of a collision, and what is the importance of collisions. We will be discussing in today's session. So you can see in the animation provided, there are two masses. Two masses are equal, their mass is m kg. Those two masses are coming towards each other and they are having a sudden interaction between them. You are able to see that in the animation clearly. In the animation, you are able to see that, right? So two masses, their masses are equal. They are coming towards each other and one mass is colliding with the other. In this animation, you are able to see that. This animation gives you the complete, like the description of collision. It is that, what do we say, what do we define as a collision? See, the strong interaction among bodies involving exchange of momentum in a short interval of time is called collision. So you have two masses. These two masses may have same velocity or different velocity. This can have velocity u1 and this can have velocity u2. Both come closer with each other, like they come towards each other, and when they are coming towards each other, at some particular time they undergo exchange of momentum. They interact with each other such that exchange of momentum takes place in a short interval of time. So after, like, these two collide with each other, after collision, first body moves with some velocity v1 and second body may move with some velocity v2. Now it has mass m1, this has mass m2, this has mass m2 and this has mass m1. Now clearly you are able to see that first mass m1 is traveling with initial velocity u1. After interaction between these two masses, first mass is traveling with velocity v1. What happens to its momentum? Its momentum has been changed. So P initial of the first mass is equal to m1 u1. P final of the first mass is equal to m1 v1, and change in the momentum delta P is equal to final momentum minus initial momentum. This is m1 into v1 minus u1. This is what change in the momentum of the first body. Likewise, in the second one also, second one is traveling with velocity u2 before the collision, and after collision it is traveling with velocity v2. Therefore, P initial of the second body is equal to m2 u2, and P final of the second body is equal to m2 v2. Change in the momentum delta P is equal to m2 into v2 minus u2. So there is some change in the momentum which is not equal to 0. There is some change in the momentum which is not equal to 0. Two masses, they are interacting with each other. When they interact with each other, their momentum transfer, like one loses its momentum, other one may gain momentum. This happens not only with two masses, it can take place for any number of masses. There is no restriction that only two masses will interact with each other. There can be as many number of masses interacting with each other, resulting in exchange of momentum in short interval of time. That is defined as collision. And during collision, what happens? During collision, bodies may or may not be in contact into physical contact. Like two bodies may be or may not be in a physical contact. Here in this example, we have learned that two masses come closer with each other, they hit one upon the other, and as a result there is exchange of momentum. But apart of that, there can happen like two electrons or two protons coming closer with each other. Say there is an electron here which is negatively charged particle, there is another electron here which is negatively charged particle. Electron may move in this direction and this electron may move in this direction. Both, when they come closer with each other, there will be electrostatic repulsive force acting between them. They does not come closer and be in contact with each other. They will not be in contact with each other even though they exchange momentum. One electron loses its momentum, the other one will be gaining its momentum. Generally, molecular collisions between non-contactive, like collision between masses where there is interaction between non-contact force, such type of collisions takes place without any physical contact between them, right? So collisions between molecules and particles, scattering between the electron proton or electron electron proton proton, these things happen without any physical contact. Exchange of momentum takes place. So that's about a collision, which is the short interaction, the strong interaction among bodies, which is involving exchange in the momentum in the short interval of time, is defined as collision. So as collision may take place with with two masses or as many number of masses. Based on the direction of collisions, we can classify collisions into two different types. One is head-on. Head-on or collision in one dimension. Head-on collision or collision in one dimension. That's number one. And number two, it is oblique or collision in two dimension. These are the two different types of collision which will be generally taking place practically. It may be head-on collision or collision in one dimension, oblique collision or collision in two dimension. Now let us first discuss what is head-on collision. In case of head-on collision, that is one-dimensional collision, there will be two masses. This is one mass and this is the other mass. Before collision, they will be traveling with some particular velocity, like both travel in the same straight line. This is having velocity u1, this is having velocity u2. Its mass is m1, its mass is m2. u1 is greater than u2. As a result, u1, its value is greater, it come and hit this mass m2. This is before collision. Before collision, they are traveling in one dimension, only along x-axis. After collision, these masses, after collision also, they travel in the same direction. This one will be traveling with velocity v1, this one will be traveling with velocity v2. Masses will remain same, m1 and m2. Here any value can be greater, that depends upon two masses. Either v1 can be greater than v2 or v2 can be greater than v1. That depends upon their masses. We will find out velocities in the next coming classes. This is after collision. After collision, bodies travel in one dimension, that is purely along x-axis. So initially the collision may be happening, like before collision two bodies may travel in one dimension, that is along x-axis. After collision also two bodies will be traveling along x-axis. If at all two bodies are traveling along y direction initially, after collision also they travel in the same y direction. That type of collisions which are taking place only in one dimension will be treated as head-on collision or collision in one dimension. That's number one. And coming to number two, it is oblique or collision in two dimension. Oblique collision or collision in two dimension. We may have different bodies, like this is one body and this is other body. They can be traveling with different velocities in different possible directions. These are the two masses. Its mass is m1, its velocity is u1. This is another mass m2, its velocity is u2. Now you can consider this as x-axis and this as y-axis. Now when you are considering these bodies u1 and u2, they are in plane. You can resolve u1 into components and u2 also in components. This is before collision. Before collision, u1 and u2 are in xy plane. u1 and u2 are in xy plane. They are not traveling purely along x-axis or y-axis. They are traveling along x-axis and as well as y-axis. They come and collide with each other. After collision, these masses like u2 and u1, they will be traveling with different velocities. They will be traveling with different velocities. This may be m2, this may be u2, this may be m1, and this may be, sorry, this is v2 and this is v1. This is after collision. After collision, v1 and v2 are in plane, that is xy plane. They are purely along, like they can be resolved, their velocities can be resolved into components. You can resolve these velocities into components like this. See, u1 can be resolved into components like this. Likewise, u2 can be resolved into two components. v2 can be resolved into two components, one along x-axis, one along y-axis. v1 can be resolved into two components, one along x-axis and the other one along y-axis. So therefore, this have both the components, x component and as well as y component. v2 also have y component and x component. v1 also have x component and y component. So therefore, if the collisions is taking place in such a way, the velocities of two bodies are in different directions, they are in xy plane, such collisions are said to be as oblique collision or collision in two dimension. The second type of classification of collisions is based on momentum and energy. Here energy is kinetic energy. It's not potential energy. It is based on only kinetic energy. Now, based on conservation of momentum and energy, there are two different types of collisions taking place. One is elastic collision, and these elastic collisions can be taking place in one dimension or two dimension. That is first type. And the second type of collision is inelastic collision. First type is elastic collision, second type is inelastic collision. Inelastic collisions can be in one dimension or two dimension. So it can be head-on collision or oblique collision. Now let us see what are the differences between elastic collisions and inelastic collisions. So whether they may be in one dimension or whether they may be in two dimension. In case of elastic collision, two bodies will interact with each other such that their momentum transfer takes place, energy also transfer takes place. So therefore, in elastic collision, remember that in elastic collision, linear momentum and kinetic energy are conserved. Linear momentum and kinetic energy both are conserved. That is, momentum initial, that is before collision, should be equal to momentum final, that is after collision. Likewise, momentum initially, two bodies are moving in different, they may be moving in different directions or they may be traveling in same direction. In case of elastic collision, conservation of momentum is valid, that is m1 u1 bar plus m2 u2 bar is equal to m1 v1 bar plus m2 v2 bar, where u1 u2 are velocity directions. With along with directions you need to consider here. v1 v2 are collisions. After collision, v1 v2 are velocities. That is first point you need to remember. And kinetic energy initial, that is before collision, is equal to kinetic energy final, this is after collision. So total conservation of kinetic energy takes place in case of elastic collision. That means kinetic energy before collision is equal to kinetic energy after collision. What is kinetic energy before collision? Half m1 u1 square plus half m2 u2 square is equal to half m1 v1 square plus half m2 v2 square. So initially there are two masses taking collisions. Therefore, velocity of two masses are u1 and u2. Their kinetic energy is half m1 u1 square plus half m2 u2 square. Two bodies, sum of their kinetic energy should be equal to sum of the kinetic energies after collision. Such type of collisions are called elastic collisions. So most of the collisions which takes place in molecular and atomic vicinity are elastic collisions. Collisions between two electrons, collisions between two protons, or collisions between two molecules, atoms. Such collisions are called elastic collisions. Collisions generally in case of molecular vicinity and atomic vicinity are elastic collisions. So examples of elastic collisions are atomic and molecular collisions. These are the examples of elastic collisions. And coming to next category, that is inelastic collisions. Inelastic collisions can take place either in one dimension or in two dimension. Anyway, it can be in one dimension or two dimension. Now let us see what are the conditions for inelastic collisions. The first condition in an inelastic collision only linear momentum is conserved. Only linear momentum is conserved. Kinetic energy is not conserved. There is some loss of kinetic energy in the form of heat. There is some kinetic energy lost in the form of heat. Such type of collisions are called inelastic collisions. And in case of inelastic collision, conservation of momentum is valid. That is m1u1 plus m2u2 is equal to m1v1 plus m2v2. These are vector quantities, so therefore I need to put one denotation there. So initial momentum and final momentum before collision and after collision are valid in case of inelastic collision, but law of conservation of kinetic energy is not valid here. That means initial kinetic energy half m1 u1 square plus half m2 u2 square is not equal to half m1 v1 square plus half m2 v2 square. There is some loss in heat energy. Heat produced is equal to change in kinetic energy, that is final kinetic energy minus initial kinetic energy. So you can calculate how much amount of heat is being produced in case of inelastic collision. So in case of in an inelastic collision, definitely there will be some loss in energy. That lost energy appears in the form of heat. And all examples of inelastic collision are all collisions which are taking place practically. All practical collisions. Collisions of coins in the carom board, collisions of balls in the billiard, and collision of two vehicles on the road. These all comes under inelastic collisions. So all those collisions which are taking place in our daily life, they comes under inelastic collision. Conservation of momentum is valid, but kinetic energy is not valid. There is some loss in kinetic energy in the form of heat energy. Students, now let us discuss head-on elastic collision where two balls of mass m1 and m2, before collision they are traveling along x-axis. Before collision they are traveling along x-axis with velocities u1 and u2, and during collision two masses will interact with each other. There is interaction here. There is interaction between two masses. Both the masses get interacted with each other, and during collision also both are in x-axis itself. After collision, m1 is moving with velocity u1 dash and m2 is moving with v2 dash. So these are the velocities after collision, and after collision also they are traveling along x-axis. Okay, now for our simplicity we will just change the notations. I'll consider this as u1 and I'll consider this as u2, and I'll consider this as v1 and I'll consider this as v2, because already we have seen that u1 u2 are initial velocities of two masses before collision. v1 v2 are velocities after collision. Now as these are elastic one-dimensional collision, as these are elastic collisions, check it up, see this is elastic. As these are elastic collision, you can write from law of conservation of linear momentum, you can write m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. You can bring m1 terms one side. m1, if I take it common, this is u1, v1 comes to the other side, that is v1, plus take this v2 term to the other side, or I'll just write it as m2 into v2. This u2 term going to the other side minus u2. This is equation number 1. Let me take this as equation 1. This is from law of conservation of linear momentum. From law of conservation of kinetic energy, you can write initial kinetic energy, final kinetic energy of these masses are equal. So therefore, initial kinetic energy is half m1 u1 square plus half m2 u2 square, that is equal to half m1 v1 square plus half m2 v2 square. Same way what we have done in the first case, we will be bringing m1 terms to the other side. Both m1 terms, I'll just bring it to one side. So I can simply write it as half m1 into u1 square minus v1 square. Of course, you can cancel half on both sides. So therefore, you need not take again half here. This will be equal to m2 into v2 square minus u2 square. Just u2 second term I am bringing it to the other side. And this is in the form of a minus b whole square. A minus b whole square can be written as a square minus like a plus b into a minus b. So this is m1 into u1 minus v1 into u1 plus v1, which is equal to m2 into v2 minus u2 into v2 plus u2. This is equation number 2, right? Now we have got equation 1 and equation 2. Divide equation 2 with equation 1. Okay. In the second equation, we have m1 u1 minus v1, and which is left over here is u1 plus v1, u2 plus v2. That is, in equation 1 we already have m1 u1 minus v1. So this term is already in the equation 1. Dividing equation 2 with equation 1, what is left over here? u1 plus v1 is left over left side. That will be equal to v2 plus u2. That is on the other side. Now you can just bring u2 to the other side. u1 minus u2 is equal to v2 minus v1. What is u1 minus u2? u1 is initial velocity of the first body before collision. u2 is velocity after collision. u1 and u2, u1 minus v2. We already know that velocity of A with respect to B is equal to velocity of A minus velocity of B. This is relative velocity. Okay. Now u1 minus u2, I can just write it as relative velocity of u1 and u2 are the first body. And u1, u2, that is velocity of approach, u1 and u2. That is, I can write it as relative velocity of approach is equal to relative velocity of separation. Relative velocity of approach is equal to relative velocity of separation. V2 and V1 are velocities after collision. So therefore, they are said to be as after collision, they get separated with each other. Their distance goes on increases. That is the reason why we call it as relative velocity of separation. Before collision, both masses come closer to each other. That is the reason why you can consider that u1 minus u2 as relative velocity of approach. So relative velocity of approach is equal to relative velocity of separation. That is in case of one-dimensional collision. So for one-dimensional collision, you can clearly write relative velocity of approach is equal to relative velocity of separation. This is very, very important equation. You need to keep this in your mind.